This is the Sean Hannity Show.
That's right, it is. It's the Sean Hannity Show. My name is Rose, sitting in for Sean, and love his audience. Thank you, Frank, for hanging in there, because I've got two guests right now. I'll get back to the phone calls in just a bit. 1-800-941-SEAN, 1-800-941-SEAN. Joining me right now are two men that I am so grateful to have representing my state of Pennsylvania. Congressman Mike Kelly from the 16th District and Congressman Dan Meuser from District 9, both of Pennsylvania. And they're here to talk about what's happening in the state and what we're doing on a national level about what's been happening in several of the states. Welcome to both of you. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having us, Rose.
You bet.
Yes, right, Rose. Thank you very much. Mike, great to be with you. Good to be with you, Dan.
You both. I have been with both of you. Congressman Dan Meuser, recently in Harrisburg, there was a huge rally, Stop the Steal rally, and we were out there for that. And then Congressman Mike Kelly, you and I were in Washington, D.C., and both of us spoke on the main stage there at the Supreme Court steps. So it's been a lot of fun working with both of you, and you both are very passionate about this country and about the Republic. That being said, Yes, and I appreciate that. You know, let's start with Congressman Mike Kelly. Right now, there's a case that you are named as a plaintiff. You know, and this is about protecting the Pennsylvania Constitution and the rule of law. It has nothing to do with being a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent. And it's all about ensuring that all laws are passed within our constitutional system of government, and we cannot have laws that are unconstitutional. Congressman Mike Kelly, tell me a little bit about it, because I know that one of the things that you wanted to do was delay the certification, but they did certify in Pennsylvania, didn't they?
Yeah, it's HR 8753, but what it really is called is the Protect Election Integrity Act, and I got to tell you what we saw happen. Now, the piece that we're going to talk about today is on Act 77, where the Pennsylvania State Legislature in October of 2019 passed an omnibus piece of legislation that had in it this mail-in ballot issue, and it was done outside the Constitution. It's an unconstitutional law passed by the Pennsylvania legislation back in October of 2019. So it had nothing to do with the pandemic at that time, but it had everything to do with going outside the Constitution. And what we're doing is we're challenging that, and we're saying, wait a minute, that's not the way it works. You just can't go ahead doing these things. There's a process to follow. There should have been an amendment that was put through. It was never done that way, and so now we're fighting an issue that we think is critical. If constitutions don't matter, then I don't know what it is that we're following anymore, especially when it comes to the rule of law. These are serious things that are taking place, and as Dan and I both know, you know, if you look at some of the things that happened, incredible what took place. And I tell you, we just look at Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, Rose. How about this? Over 680,000 ballots that only had one oversight, the oversight by Democrats in those ballot counting situations. So that's a huge issue. But the Act 77 piece that was pushed through the Pennsylvania legislature back in October 2019 was the start of all this, with a mail-in ballot situation and the fact that we had so many irregularities in this election. It causes a great deal of concern on everybody's part.
It really does, Congressman Kelly. And Congressman Meuser, I mean, when a law is passed, I mean, Pennsylvania citizens have reason to believe it was lawfully passed and that it's constitutional. When we find out that it is not, regardless of the nature or the subject of the law, it's incumbent upon us to challenge that law. And that's what's being done in Pennsylvania. That's what has been going on in Pennsylvania.
Well, precisely. And I will say we are all very supportive of Mike Kelly's initiative, not a better member of Congress could there be. And here in Pennsylvania, we have many millions of people have serious concerns as to the overall integrity of the election, but certainly the fairness of the election of the President of the United States. You know, we're already a state that doesn't require ID at the polling places, but then to throw in there millions, literally millions of mail-in ballots, and then have the Secretary of State say that the signatures don't need to match.
Right.
You know, at least at the polling places, the signatures need to match. And then have ballot applications, granted not the ballots, but ballot applications going out to everyone 2, 3 at a time. And yes, those that were deceased were receiving those. People who weren't living in those homes anymore. So the problems really with Act 77 is it left open a lot of these opportunities, frankly, for cheating. And then throw in there the regular activities of, again, our governor's office and the Secretary of State passed allowing ballots to be received after the statutory date of 8 o'clock on election night, the curing and fixing in various counties. There's still questions that need to be answered, and they should be. And that's the whole reason behind some of the lawsuits and the president's position and the request for a due process for some of these answers.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just so people know, our Pennsylvania Supreme Court had recently ruled that any ballot without a date, a name, or address could be counted. And yet, our state assembly specifically states that you have to fill out that envelope. You have to have that information. So, that it's really concerning what's going on. Now, for both of you, and this time I'll start with you, Congressman Meuser, when we think about what we do going forward, right now I'm happy that there are great lawyers on the ground here. There's heavy cadre of lawyers in Philadelphia. They're doing everything they can do to protect the integrity of our vote here in Pennsylvania. But let's talk about what happens even beyond this. I mean, we were being warned for years that fraud should be and was an issue. We've always had that problem in Pennsylvania. Now we are seeing it nationwide. Now, I know that Congressman Meuser, you just recently spoke on the House floor about the importance of a lawful and free and fair vote count, not just in Pennsylvania, but in the nation.
Yep. Yeah, I sure did. And I was trying to appeal, certainly to explain our position and make our case, but also appeal to Democrats and Republicans who have any doubt as to why we're pursuing the type of legal actions and requests for more information as we are for the purpose of a fair election. As stated, what's at stake here is truly the faith in our system. And you know something, Rose? Election integrity doesn't take sides.
That's
right.
right.
I mean, we can't allow a system to be gamed. And because if we allow this just to occur here, it could occur again. But at the same time, we have a very important election that the presidential election of 2020, that still needs some answers to some questions.
And that's so true. Congressman Kelly, the congressman just spoke about, not necessarily being a Republican issue, and it's not. And I've been saying that on this show and others have as well, that this isn't about one candidate. It isn't about Donald Trump. This is about a process. This is about a free election. And that is why I think most of us are so very concerned. Next time it could be someone else's candidate. And we want to protect everyone's vote going forward.
Yeah, no, I know that's absolutely true. And I think, Rose, if you look at the history of the concern we have for the integrity of elections, you go back to the Help America Vote Act of 2002, where in that case, it was the question over Vice President Al Gore losing to President Bush, and the concern we had that, well, we need to have more integrity. We need to be able to look at this. The old saying still persists that the best day in the septic is sunlight. And so when you look what's going on right now, I would certainly think this is just common sense, and I would just ask all our listeners to think through this. If you believe that you've done everything the right way, and you're being challenged on whether that is in fact true, you would say, I don't care, let's do this, let's have a full and open look at what took place.
Yes.
And if there's something that we're not attesting or what we're not telling the truth about, then we need to make it public. And if there is something that's wrong, then fine, that too. But in this case, people are saying, no, you don't have to look any deeper. When the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania decides to have disparity in the way people vote, and that's people that went out and went to the polls on November the 3rd and cast a ballot, and then you have another group of people that supposedly voted. We had dead people voting. We had a lot of people voting that were voting 2 or 3 times. In some cases, we had more votes than there were people in those districts to vote, and people saying, no, nothing here to see, folks, just move on. I am absolutely stunned that on the other side of the aisle, people would say, look, I don't care what you all think, and I don't care how bad it looks. We're going to go with this. I know Dan and I have been working on this for a long time. We really do believe that every vote, every legitimate, lawful vote needs to be counted and counted properly. This other part of not doing that is the thing that casts a shadow over this election and should bring everybody to the attention of, do we have any integrity in American voting process, or have we become worse than the worst banana republic that's out there today? It just doesn't make sense, gross. It doesn't
Amen.
Make sense.
It does not make sense. Congressman Meuser, I'll give you the final word in this segment, and I appreciate both of you being here. Go ahead, Congressman.
Thanks, Rose. We need leadership in government and in all parts of our society that works for the people and is honest with the people and represents the people in a highly sensitive manner. And this election process and the decisions made by a few, frankly, in Harrisburg, in the governor's office, put a tremendous amount of distrust in the election system. There's just no two ways about it. I mean, polls have it, 65, 70% of over 3 million votes have a high level of distrust. And it just goes with that, but it also goes with the shutdowns, how that's being handled. It's wrong. It should be inclusionary. There should be a discussion. We should all have ownership on how to create a health and safe and open economy. And it really comes down to leadership and those who want to truly work for the people, and a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's the commitment that we make, and I know that's my dedication. I know it's Mike Kelly's and many others.
Yeah, I've seen your dedication, and I've seen how well the people in your district and in fact across the state respond to both of you. I appreciate all that you both have done. Thank you so much for serving this country so well and serving the state of Pennsylvania as well. Take care, Congressman Mike Kelly and Congressman Dan Meuser. Appreciate you both.
Thank you, Rose.
Thanks so much, Rose, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Happy
please.
Thanksgiving. Yes. All right, we'll be back with more of the